Good night, everybody. Welcome in for our leadership conversations this afternoon. It's a beautiful day. It's a great Monday afternoon, Monday evening. Thank you all for tuning in. Good evening, Prophetess Asha, my beautiful wife. Thank you for tuning in. Just want to give some people a little bit more time. Carrie Ann, thanks for tuning in. I see you. I appreciate you taking the time. Want to appreciate everybody's time coming on today to our leadership conversations. It's been a pleasure to have these conversations with you. Good evening, Pastor Letitia. Thanks for tuning in. It's been a pleasure. I can't believe it's I'm going on, what is this now, my third month of doing these conversations, and each time is growing, each time is getting better, each time I'm growing and learning from the different topics that we talk about and that we discuss. For anyone who's tuning in for the first time, this is a platform or opportunity where we discuss the different aspects of leadership, some of the good, some of the bad, some of the ugly that comes along with being a leader. For the longest, good evening, Sister Susan. For the longest, leadership has been a passion of mine, and watching, learning, growing, and learning, and being involved with so many different organizations and so many different things. One of the things that I've learned to grown to learn is that leadership is important, and having the right leadership is important. It makes a world of a difference in whenever there is growth in an organization, whether when there's growth in a ministry. There is a huge impact when you have the right leaders involved in place. And when you have the right leaders right in place, good evening, Brother Sai. Thanks for tuning in, man. When you have the right leaders in place, and they help to prepare the people to be in the right place. And when the people are in the right place, the organization, the ministry, whatever it is, begins to flow and begins to operate. But what I've come to learn and realize is that not much training has been done and put into place to help people to grow in leadership. I've come to learn that leadership is something that you have to take a class on, that you have to take a course on. It's not something that's automatically offered, and it's not even offered until you're in college. But leadership plays a huge role in anything that we're doing. Leadership plays a huge role in success and failure. John Maxwell always says that everything rises and falls on leadership. So if an organization succeeds, if it fails, it's because of the leadership. And so this platform is really just an opportunity to have conversations, to talk about some of the things that are required for leadership, some of the things that is not normally discussed, that's not normally taught. And so I use this opportunity to help pass along, pay forward the information that I have, the knowledge that I have, the things that I've learned over the years in leadership, and helping it to apply to our everyday lives. Because you don't have to be a leader of an organization or a church or a ministry or a nonprofit to be considered a leader. Being a brother requires leadership. Being a father requires leadership. Being a mother requires leadership. Being a sister, being an aunt, being an uncle, being a friend. All of these things require leadership and leadership skills that to help us to grow. And so tonight we're continuing our conversations. I appreciate once again everyone tuning in. I hope that each and every person that tunes in gets something from it. Like I said, it's something that is causing me to grow and causing me to learn as well. And so it's a win-win situation for all of us that are involved. So thanks again for tuning in. I want to continue our conversation. It's been a really interesting series that I've embarked on, and in my years of being involved in Christianity and being involved in ministry, being involved in Christian organizations, I one thing that I've come to realize is that there are two things that come along with leadership. There's the cross and the crown. And so we've been discussing that topic for the last few weeks about the cross and the crown of leadership. These are both symbols that are that represent our faith, that represent that embody what Christianity is all about. And what I've come to realize is that it expands not just in our faith but also in leadership. It's something that's important to understand, and when you get a full understanding, it makes it easier for you to grow. It makes you more intentional, and it's time that we come to the understanding that our talent and our skills are not enough. We need to be able to develop certain prerequisites. We need to develop certain skills, certain characters, certain traits to be able to stand as leaders and to be effective as leaders. And so we're continuing the conversation of the cross and the crown. And last week I talked about the cross. I talked about those hard moments that you have to face as a leader, as a person with a purpose and a destiny. We all have purpose. And it's important that we understand that if we're going to be effective in our purpose, you have to be able to manage the weight of the cross. There are certain things that you have to go through for your development, for your character development, for your personality development, so that you can be able to stand in the place called success. Good evening, Minister Catherine. Thanks for tuning in. There is some things that prerequisites that we have to experience, some trials and some troubles that we have to experience, some training that we have to experience, for lack of better words, that we have to experience if we want to become successful, if we want to walk in our purpose. For so many years I've heard that you have a purpose, you have a call, but not many people teach us, or not many times is it covered or discussed, the necessary things that you have to learn in order to be prepared for your call. And so each and every one of us has a call. Each and every one of us has a purpose. So how do we prepare how do we build a tolerance, build an expectation for the challenges? We have to understand that it comes along with the territory. Everybody's battle is different. Everyone's cross is different. But one of the requirements that Jesus told his disciples is that they have to take up their cross and follow him. So as much as we want to do great things, and we want to be great, and we want to be effective and have an impact, we all have a cross to bear. And so we talked about last week the importance of understanding that when in the cross moments, it is the place where you build strength. It is the place where you build endurance. It's the place where you learn how to handle pressure. It's a place that develops character. It's the place that teaches you how to control your emotions. It teaches you how to develop restraint. It teaches you how to develop restraint. Restraint is an important aspect that comes along with leadership. You got to know when to talk. You got to know when to fight. You got to know when to just keep quiet and just let things roll. Right? It's not all the time that you need to be. You have the opportunity, or you should say what comes to your mind or how you feel. But there are certain times where it's required, and there's sometimes where you just got to pull back. And so restraint is a huge aspect that comes along with leadership. It teaches you how to develop that love and compassion, right? And that care for others, and to see others going through, and to see others experiencing hardships, and be able to still have that love and compassion for them. So there are different things that goes along with the cross aspect of our walk and of our leadership. And it's a challenging thing, because it's in those times of the cross moments where you feel like God is not there. That's the time, is most of the time that God isn't speaking, or we don't hear God in those times. It's in those times where you feel alone. It's in those times that you feel ridiculed, you feel embarrassed, you feel like you don't know who you are, you feel like you don't know where you're going. But in spite of all that you have to endure and all that you have to experience, there is a time where you reap the benefits, and you reap the crown that comes along with the work. And so it's important that we understand that we need to be able to handle the weight of the cross, so that we can be ready to handle the weight of the crown. I was talking about last week about how the fact that when you're able to bear your cross, it gives you that credibility. It gives you that credibility and that sustainability, and these things help to formulate and to establish authority. when you are able to carry that weight and be able to manage the trials and the tribulations that come along with it, eventually you're able to develop the authority. What set Paul different from the seven sons of Sceva is the fact that Paul had credibility. Paul had knew God and had a relationship with God, and Paul had endured. He was able to develop sustainability, so that when it came time to cast out demons, he had the authority. And what the seven sons of Sceva lacked is that credibility. They lacked that authority. And so they weren't able to do what Paul did because they hadn't put in the time that Paul had put in. They hadn't endured or carried the cross that Paul had carried. And so when you carry that cross and you are able to grow and to strengthen and grow in that weight, you're able to develop that authority and that power that comes along with it. So all of that to say is that you have to go through the processing of the cross so that you can be able to carry the crown. So now tonight I want to talk about the crown of leadership. These are the things that are the positive aspects of leadership, the positive the fruits that come along with leadership, because I don't want to paint this picture where we should be afraid of leadership roles. That's not what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to help you to understand that what you're going through or what you've experienced in your life is not for it was to prepare you for where you're going, and it's to prepare you to lead others. We go through things and we wonder why we have to go through the things that we go through. Why did I have to go through this? Why did I have to go through that? Why do I have to have these kind of experiences? Why couldn't I have these experiences, right? There's some things that you experience, right, that you wonder why you couldn't have certain things. Why couldn't I have grown up in a two-parent home? Why couldn't I have grown up with a mentor? Why couldn't I have been able to live in a good neighborhood? Why did I have to live in a poor haven? Why did I have to grow up in the projects? All of these things, it was to prepare you to be a great leader, a great and effective leader. And so we have to understand that the crown is a heavy thing to carry, but it's a beneficial thing to carry. We all go through the cross moment so that we can obtain the crown. Right? You look throughout the Bible, there's always a reward that comes along with endurance. There's always a reward that comes along with long suffering, that comes along with being able to stand and being able to hold your weight. And so when we talk about the cross and the crown of leadership, our prime example is Jesus. It took him showing us the why and the how to carrying our crosses. Right? We look at the experience that he had experienced. It was difficult, it was struggle, it was gruesome, it was weighty, it was hard, it was harsh. But at the end of the day, it was for a purpose. And it led him to ultimately obtain the crown. Right? It led him to the highest honor, which was a name above every other name and the ability to sit at the right hand of the Father. One of the hardest things that you have to do as a leader, right, is to endure for a purpose and to be able to endure. But once you're able to make it through and be processed, it establishes a level of honor that to your name. It establishes a level of honor to your leadership. And so we have to understand that there is honor that comes with the crown. You think of a king who has a crown, there is a level of honor, a level of respect that comes along with the kingship, with the crown that he wears, or the crown that the queen wears. So let's backtrack a little bit, because one of the hardest things to do as a leader is to start and build something new. And it's difficult because you're ultimately building something that no one else sees. It's an imagination, it's a mental picture that you see that you're trying to build, and sometimes people will not join you until after it's already been built. And so it's a very difficult thing to build something new. But when you are able to to develop the process and you're able to bear the weight of that cross, it establishes a strong foundation. And when you establish a strong foundation and you build on it, you know that no matter what comes, this thing will never fall and it would never fail. And so when we think about the crown, it's something that you earn. You earn the crown because you're able to establish a strong foundation. You're able to endure and put in the time to be processed, put in the time to build, putting in the time to establish, and now you will reap the benefits of your work, the benefits of your service. See, the crown moments are points in time. They're milestones. They're occasions where you see the rewards of your efforts. And it's hard when you're going through to see or picture a reward. But there is a reward that comes along with your work, with your service. There's a level of reward there's a reward and an honor that comes with your leadership. And so crown moments are moments of milestones, or milestone moments in lives where you see the benefits and the fruits of your labor. So we have to understand, in order to get to those moments of experiencing that crown, right? Once you are able to make it through the cross moments, it is a moment of honor and appreciation. There are times where you will see the fruits of your labor. All the time and effort that you put in, all the work that you put in, all the behind the scenes that people don't see. There does come a time where God rewards you openly, and God allows people to bless you openly. What's important to understand, and I want to put this as a side note, that although the cross moments may seem hard and difficult, don't allow it to jade the crown moments. Don't allow it to the suffering or what you had, the hardship that you had to endure, cause you not to enjoy the benefits of the crown. Because it's very easy to be so caught up in the struggle and the mindset of survival that when you get to the time of reward, you don't fully appreciate it. Why? Because when you get to that crown moment, you're still in survival mode. So you wonder if this is really real. You wonder if this is going to last. You wonder if the reward is genuine. But I want to encourage you, and this, like, as a side note, because this wasn't even in my notes, but I want us to understand. I want someone out here to realize that when the moment comes where people appreciate you, where you start to see momentum, where things start to flow, enjoy the moment, enjoy the reward, enjoy the benefits, enjoy the honor, because a lot of people don't know how to be honored. A lot of people don't know how to receive appreciation. I am someone who sometimes it becomes so uncomfortable when people start to appreciate me, or people will say nice things about me, or say, oh, how much of an impact that I had on their lives. It becomes uncomfortable. That's because I've been conditioned to learn how to survive. And so many of us fall into that category where we're so conditioned on trying to survive that we get uncomfortable and we don't know how to receive a compliment. We don't know how to receive honor. We don't know how to receive respect. And so I admonish each and every one of us that is here, that is listening, that when those moments come where you're honored, one, appreciate it, enjoy the moment. Two, don't push it away, don't devalue it. Three, don't become so engulfed with it that you or become that allows you to be obsessed with it. Because there are people like that too, where they become so obsessed with honor that they start to demand it. But the more you stay humble, and that's why the processing is necessary. The processing is necessary because it keeps you in that humble state. And the more you stay humbled, the more you're honored. And so I want us to be able to enjoy the fruits of our labor, enjoy the benefits, enjoy when people appreciate you. Don't demand it, don't expect it, but when you get it, enjoy it, receive it. So I don't know who this is for, but I'm letting you know. Receive and enjoy the honor. Receive and enjoy the respect when it comes. Because in those crown moments, you will see people start to appreciate you. You'll see people praise you for your labor. You will see that people will honor you and they will respect you. And that's one of the things that makes you an effective leader, is that when you can receive that honor and you can receive that praise, but still be able to effectively lead others and to remain humble, to bless them. You know, it takes nothing to bless someone who's honoring you, or to bless someone who blesses you. So that was my sidebar. That one was for free. But in the crown moments, right, it's when you start to see the benefits, you start to see the fruits of your labor, you start to see movement, you start to see traction, you start to see growth and production. In the crown moments is when you start to see momentum. Now, momentum is one of the most important ingredients of leadership. Momentum is one of the most important ingredients of production, of progress. When you're able to build momentum, things start to move, things start to go, and you start to see that what you were building starts to get traction. You start to see that everyone on your team is working in unison. You start to see where everyone is on one accord. You start to see where everything is just working out. Everything is just happening. And it's important that every leader wants to get to that place where you're building momentum. Because in the moments, in that process of momentum, it increases production, it increases impact, it increases your influence, and it decreases your level of difficulty. See, the cross moments start to prepare you. They prepare you for that level of difficulty. They prepare you, and it teaches you how to steer. See, momentum is all about movement. Momentum is all about the relationship between movement and speed. And I did okay in physics, but one of the things that I learned is that momentum is the relationship between speed, mass, speed, and velocity. And so when you have movement, right, because you've already developed the strength and the endurance by bearing the weight of the cross, when you get into that momentum place, it's easy for you to steer. See, that's why you have to go through those cross moments, because you learn how to carry weight, and you learn how to direct and how to steer as you're building traction, so that when you take off, the speed doesn't affect your direction. You're still able to maintain control. You're still able to maintain direction. That's what momentum does. Momentum allows you to take that weight that you've been carrying and now gives you a speed that allows you to go at full force. I remember at 5 years old, right? I learned to ride a bike. And during that time of learning to ride a bike, I had the training wheels. So I had to learn how to steer the bike at slow speeds. I had to learn how to maintain control. And then eventually took the training wheels off. And then I had to learn balance. I had to learn how to balance the weight of the bike. I had to learn how to balance the weight of my body and be able to steer while maintaining that balance. It is in the cross moments that you learn to develop that balance. You learn to develop how to steer and control the weight that you're carrying. Because if you start to build speed and build momentum with a weight that you don't know how to carry, you will crash. And nobody wants to crash and burn. So you get to that point where you learn how to balance the weight, so that when you start to pick up speed, it's easy for you to direct. So by the time I had mastered balancing on the bike, when I got older, I learned to pedal fast, and I knew how to steer the bike regardless of what came in my way. So if something random just jumped in my way, like a cat or a person or another kid, I knew how to dodge, right? Dodge without falling off the bike. It is in those crown moments that, because you've mastered the weight that you carry, you're able to now direct and stay balanced. You know how to dodge and to shift random objects that come out of nowhere and still have control. And that's what it's all about. And so that's how you know that you've grown to be an effective leader. That when curveballs come out of nowhere, you know how to shift and to maneuver and to control without losing speed and without losing balance. So it's important to understand that crown moments, when you finally obtain that crown, you know how to do these things because you already have been developed in the cross moments. It's in the crown moments that you see an impact. Now, before I get there are certain things that you obtain when you have a crown, right? The first thing that I mentioned was the fact that you receive honor and you receive respect, right? That's something that you obtain when you have the crown. But you also develop in wisdom. You also develop in stature. You also develop in favor. You grow in favor. Now, to my Jesus example, I was reading in Luke chapter 52, chapter 2, verse 52. And this is something that I read when I was much younger, and it has been something that I've consistently prayed for throughout my entire life. Is that Luke chapter 2:52 says, and Jesus grew in wisdom and stature and in favor with God and with man. I'm going to read that one more time. And Jesus grew in wisdom and stature and in favor with God and with man. And if you look at, I believe it's First Samuel chapter 2, Samuel also had the same experience. It says in First Samuel chapter 2, verse 26, it says, and the boy Samuel continued to grow in stature and in favor with the Lord and with the people. It's in one of the things that you obtain when you obtain the crown is you grow in wisdom and you grow in stature and you obtain favor with God and with man. See, as a leader, you have to be able to have favor both with God and with men, because the people that you're leading, you have to have favor with them. They have to be able to trust you. They have to be able to respect you. They have to be willing to follow you. And so one thing that I've always prayed since I was young, that God, give me wisdom, give me stature, and give me favor with you and with man. Because when you have favor with God and you have favor with man, then you truly are in an ideal position of influence and in an ideal position as a leader, because you are able to hear from God and you're able to lead the people, and it puts you in that position to build momentum. Now, we all know what wisdom is, so I don't even have to go into that. But what is stature? Stature, by definition, is reputation, is distinction, and it's influence. So when you talk about Jesus and his growth, he grew in wisdom and he grew in reputation. Then what is favor? Favor is preferential treatment. It's unfair treatment, and I honor our Pastor Troy, who was preaching on it yesterday morning about favor not being fair. Favor really isn't fair because of the fact that it allows you to receive preferential treatment, to receive approval and support that you don't necessarily deserve, right? Or not that you don't deserve it, but favor that is unfair in the sense that God gives it to you before he gives it to others. And so one of the things that made Jesus so effective is the fact that he grew in wisdom, he grew in reputation, and he grew in favor, both with God and with man. Because when you are able to obtain favor, you're able to get the job done more efficiently. See, the thing that the reason why God gives favor is because there is a work that needs to be done, and it needs to be done efficiently. So it's not that, oh, God just loves this person more than the other person. It's that there is an assignment that this person has to do that requires efficiency, and you don't have the time to learn or build to a certain place to get the job done. But it's time sensitive, and it needs to be done efficiently. And so when it comes to the crown of leadership, you are able to grow in wisdom, you're able to grow in stature, and you're able to grow in favor with God and with men. And that's something that we want to have as leaders. Because it's when you have favor with men, you're able to get contracts that others wouldn't be able to get. You're able to build relationships that other people don't have, aren't able to build. You're able to get into rooms that wouldn't necessarily be open to someone of your status. And so that's something that you want to be able to have, because when you obtain that favor, you're able to be efficient and effective. So we have that, right? So with these things, right, crown moments helped you to see impact. Yes, Minister Kevin, thank you for that. You have access. You have access to certain things that aren't available. That's what favor does. So as I said, in the crown moments, you receive honor, you receive respect, you receive wisdom, you receive stature, you receive favor. You also build momentum. But not only that, you also begin to see impact. Now, impact is measured by the lives that are affected by what you do. It's lives that are affected by your yes, by your willingness to work, by your willingness not to give up. That's how you measure impact. So it's in those moments that you begin to hear testimonies of your ministry, or you get to see how effective your business is, or you see how effective your nonprofit is, and you see people begin to give testimonies of the effect and impact that you were able to have on their lives. And then when you have impact, then it allows them to impact others. And so now you see a ripple effect. And that's what impact allows, to have a ripple effect. Right? You look at the ministry of Jesus, because of the fact that he endured the cross. When he finally resurrected, you saw the impact. You saw what happens at Pentecost. You saw the book of Acts. You see the entire New Testament. And Jesus only led a group of 12 men. But that 12 allowed the impact on the 12 began to take a ripple effect that impacted 120, that impacted 3,000, that impact the whole nation, that impact generations even to this day. And so impact is important as a leader. That's something that we all want to have. Momentum and impact. That's how you are able to measure your effectiveness as a leader. And so you don't want to be in a position where you're not able to have the maximum impact. And so the crown moments allow you to have an impact on those that don't even know you. And I'm going to get to that shortly, but it allows your influence to have a ripple effect on those that sometimes in those that don't even get to meet you. And so crown moments are important in our leadership roles. It's important to be able to manage the weight, because it allows you to have a platform, it allows you to have access, it allows you to have that impact that will effectively change the lives of others. And that's ultimately what we want to do. We want to be able to make a difference in the lives of others and change the lives of those that are around us. So we have to recognize that although the cross moments are difficult, it helps and sets you up for impact. And I talked a little bit about that last week, so I won't go into too much more. But another important thing to understand about impact is that you don't need to have a lot of followers, right? People think that, oh, I have to have a lot of followers on social media, or I have to have crowds of people following me to have an impact. But sometimes the greatest impact that you can have is just to impact a small group and then allow them to now go and impact others. So you essentially add value to others so that value can be multiplied. And what we want to do is make an impact. So that's another aspect that comes along with the crown, with the crown of leadership. And then this is my most important point about leadership, about the crown of leadership. And what makes it all worthwhile is that it allows you to establish a great name. It allows God to establish a great name for you. A great name equals legacy. And what we want to do is to have a great name and have a legacy that will outlive us. The greatest thing that you can have in life is not money. It doesn't matter how much money you have in your bank account. The greatest thing that you can have in life is a great name. So I'm going to say that again. The greatest thing that you can have in life is not money, but it's a great name. Because money will fade. Money will go away. Money gets spent. It will move from hand to hand, but a great name will last forever. Money will transfer from hands to hand. You can get money today and lose money tomorrow, but a great name will last forever. Abraham, God tells Abraham in Genesis chapter 12, he says he blesses Abraham. And in blessing Abraham, one of the major things that he says to Abraham is that I will make you a great nation, I will bless you, and I will make your name great. God told Abraham that I will make your name great. Now, when you have a great name, you establish a legacy. You establish a legacy that moves even beyond you. A great name. An effective leader who has earned their crown, God will put you in a position to make your name great. I'm going to say that again. Any leader who has endured the cross moments and has obtained their crown, God will put you in a position to make your name great. The most effective leaders are those who are able to have great names. Right? Because ultimately, even after you die, your name lives on. One of the worst things that you can have in life, or one of the worst things that can happen to you is you die and be forgotten. And so there is power that comes with a great name. There's a power that comes with a great name. And Prophet, I shall see your question and I'll answer that in a moment. But there is power that comes with a great name. There's a power that there is an impact that comes with when you've established a great name, when you've established a legacy, right? I'm gonna throw some names out there and you tell me. Martin Luther King Jr., right? John Rockefeller, George Washington, Malcolm X, Barack Obama, Steve Jobs. All of these names you hear, when you hear their names, you immediately are able to identify their greatness. You are able to identify their impact, even though you haven't met them. So when you have a great name, We talk about all the time that Father Abraham had many sons, and I am one of them, and so are you, right? There's a whole nation, right? There are 3 religions that claim the name of Abraham. And there are 3 major religions in the world today. They claim a hold to the name of Abraham. That's the power that comes along when you have a great name. And it's important that as we build our lives, as we build our ministries, as we build whatever it is that God has purposed us to build, when you are able to establish a great name, your impact will live on for generations. All of these people that I've named, you are able to identify the impact in their specific time, even though it's been decades later, hundreds of years later, centuries later. Why? Because they have established a great name. And when one of the things that we should desire is to be able to establish a great name in the earth. Kings, right? One of the important things that they've tried to do is to have sons that will take over their kingdom, that will be able to keep their name alive, right? You think about David and the fact that God told him that he will always have a son on the throne, that your name will live on, that you will have a great name, and your name will have an impact. See, a great name will cause you to influence people that you've never even met. And it will affect decisions in rooms that you've never even been in. So many people claim to the name of Abraham, and there are certain things they will do and certain things that they won't do because they identify as being a part of the legacy of Abraham. There are certain things that we won't do that today because of different things that great people have done throughout history. It's important that we work towards building a great name. And when God establishes a great name, that name will live on forever. And that name will have impact forever. And it will influence even after you're gone. But if you want to obtain a great name, you have to be able to develop the character that comes with that name, right? In order to have the benefits of a great name, right? You have to have the right character that goes along with it. And so the cross moments help to build that character because you have to have integrity. You have to have the endurance. You have to have a level of relentlessness because each of those people, had they chosen to give up in their pursuit of having an impact, in their pursuit of leadership, we wouldn't be discussing them today. Their names wouldn't be mentioned among the greats, right? Their impact wouldn't be felt today. But when God establishes a great name, when God gives you a great name, he even told Abraham, he said that I will bless you and I will bless those, I will bless those that bless you, I will curse those that curse you. He said all of the families of the earth shall be blessed because of you. It's about being able to be effective and have that impact. And when God establishes a great name, it will outlive each and every one of us. Money will go away, right? Think of the 1920s when the stock market crashed, right? All of those people that were wealthy beyond measure because of the stock market. Once that thing crashed, that was it for their money. But the more you work towards accomplishing your God-given purpose and your God-given assignment, God will make your name great. But we have to have the character that comes along with it. We have to have the mindset, the prerequisites that come with it. And so Abraham went through his process. David went through his process. Jesus went through his process. And think about it. One of the things that God said after Jesus was resurrected, right? He said, I will make your name above every other name. Right? Even to this day, we pray in the name of Jesus because we want our Father to hear us. When people say your name, What are the credentials that go with it? What is the description that goes along with your name? Right? That's some things that we have to think about. In our young years, we think about getting money and we think about building a life and building wealth. But when you're old, you're more concerned about what people will say about your name. What will your legacy be? And a great leader, an effective leader, is able to establish a great legacy. And that comes along with our submission. It comes along with our obedience. It's more than just our talents. It's more than, oh, he was a great singer, she was a great singer, or he was a great preacher, or he was a great apostle, or she was a great prophet. It extends beyond that. Or he was a great teacher. It extends beyond that. Oh, when that person prayed, right? Oh, or when that person used to do great miracles. It extends beyond that. It extends beyond, oh, they directed great movies or they wrote great books. It extends beyond that. It's a sign of character. When you have a great character and that's attached to your name, your legacy will be great. Think about it. I mentioned all of these great names of people who had positive characters and a positive impact. But look on the flip side. When you think about Napoleon, when you think about Hitler, when you think about Donald Trump, when you think about all of these other people who did not have great characters, when you think about Saul in the Bible, when you think about Judas, right? What are the characteristics that are attached to their name? It's all about they are usually identified. Judas, for prime example, Judas, his name has become synonymous with betrayal, right? Jacob, before God changed his name, his name became synonymous with trickster. There are certain characteristics that become synonymous with your name. And it's all about the work that you put in, the life that you live, the character that you have. And when you have the right character, you're able to build a great legacy. And God will allow you to have a great name. And so that's what we want to be able to do. We want to be able to have maximum impact. We want the work that we've done, the life that we lived, the character that we had to outlive us. So that 20 years after I'm gone, people can say, man, the things that he taught or the life that he lived was able to was what had an impact on my life, and it changed the way I view things. And so my last example, we talk about Joseph, right? We all know about the life that Joseph had to experience, the process that he had to experience, right? And the fact that Joseph endured having to go through slavery and betrayal and being in prison before he got to that place of being the second in command to Pharaoh. And I want to read something for each and every one of us to hear. And it's Psalms 105. And it says from verse 16, it says, he called for a famine on the land of Canaan, cutting off its food supply. Then he sent someone to Egypt ahead of them, Joseph, who was sold as a slave. They bruised his feet with fetters and placed his neck in an iron collar. Until the time came to fulfill his dreams, the Lord tested Joseph's character. Until the time came to fulfill his dreams, the Lord tested Joseph's character. See, we need both the cross and the crown because the cross allows us to be tested. It tests our character so that when we finally obtain the crown, we can be in charge, right? Verse 21 says that Joseph was put in charge of all the king's household. He became ruler over all the king's possessions. When you are able to endure the weight of the cross, the struggle of the cross, and you finally obtain the crown. You have gotten to a point where your character has been tested and tried, and you've been found worthy. You've been found worthy for the crown. You've been found worthy of the impact. You've been worthy of the influence. You've been found worthy to have a great name. And I want us to all understand that as leaders, whatever level that you're on, because we're all on different levels, we're all called to do different things. I know we're all great and talented and we're gifted beyond measure, but we have to endure these things so that we can be able to have that maximum impact. And so you may have feel like you've gone through a period of abandonment, or a period where God is not speaking, or you feel like God has left you alone, or you feel like your purpose, you don't have a purpose, and you start to feel like what is the point of living? I admonish each and every one of us to endure, because if you endure, you'll get the honor, you'll get the influence, you'll have the impact, but you'll also have the character to maintain it. People think that once you become successful and you get on a platform, that it's just easy. And one thing that I heard Steve Harvey say in a leadership conference, he said that, listen, success sometimes is harder than failure. But he said, if I'm going to do one of those things, I might as well succeed. And so we all pay a price to get to a level of success and to a level of influence. And we have to have the character to be able to carry the weight of the crown. We have to develop the character to be able to stand in our positions, and ultimately the end result is that God will make our names great. I want you to establish a legacy. I want you to be effective, and I want you to be efficient. We all have levels of influence, and if we are able to do this thing right, if we're able to carry that weight of the cross and carry that weight of the crown, it will all be worth it in the end. It'll all be worth it in the end. So I want to encourage each and every one of us. Now, Prophetess Asha, she posted a question, and I wanna talk about it. I want us to discuss it. If anyone else has any questions, feel free to post them and let's talk about them. All right. So Prophetess Asha says, what if you struggle with being comfortable? And what if you struggle with being comfortable and not care to be great? Now, we have to change our perspective, first of all, before I can answer that question. We have to reframe our perspective on what being great is all about, right? Being great is not about being famous. Being great is not about not about having a title or being known, right? That's not what greatness is all about. Greatness is about being able to fully maximize the potential of your God-given ability. What has God assigned you to do? What has God called you to do? What has God anointed you to do? What is the thing that God has placed you on this earth to do? When you're able to maximize on your potential and you're able to complete that assignment in the most effective way, that's what greatness is all about. And so we should care about being great, because I want to ultimately get to a point where God is pleased with my life, and God is pleased with what I have done, with the talent that he has given me. And so we have to get out of that place of being comfortable. Now, she said, what if you struggle with being comfortable? We all struggle with being comfortable. There is no level of comfortability. We should always be uncomfortable, because whenever there's uncomfortability, there is opportunity for growth. And so all that being said is that ultimately we have to care about being great, because being great is about fully maximizing on what God has given you to do, fully tapping in to the talent and the anointing and the grace that God has placed on your life, and to complete your assignment. And so I hope that answered your question. A lot of times we think about being great as being known and being famous, but that's not what greatness is all about, right? A lot of people, a lot of successful people will talk about how great of a mother they had, or how great of a father they had, or how great of a grandmother they had. And because of the fact that they help and help to push them to be who they are, they identify them as great. I remember we were doing a Sunday school lesson, and we were talking about Andrew, and how the fact that Andrew was the one who introduced Peter to Christ. Now we all know who Peter was, and how the impact that Peter had on the church, and how great Peter was in succeeding Jesus as the leader of the movement. But it was Andrew that introduced Peter to Christ. And so Andrew still was great, even though he wasn't as known as Peter. Why? Because he was able to maximize his potential. He heard of this Jesus, and he took it to his friend Peter, or his brother Peter, and was able to lead Peter to Christ so that Peter can be great. So greatness is not about being famous. It's not about people talking about you, but it's about really truly maximizing on what God has called you to do. So hope that was able to answer your question. If there are any other questions, feel free to post them. I'll try to answer them before I wrap up. But I really want to encourage each and every one of us, because we're in a hard time. We're in a challenging time. And I've always said, like I've said before, is that now more than ever we need leadership, and we need the character of great leaders to step up and help navigate the chaos and this disruption that we're in. Right? Bishop T.D. Jakes said that disruption is the mother of innovation. We're in a critical moment where innovation needs to take place because of the disruption and the chaos that's going on. And when we as leaders will step up to the plate and step into position, we can truly make an impact, and we can truly create a system of innovation that will change the world. And so you have the potential to be great. I know it feels like you're going through a cross moment, but bear your cross. And I know the crown may seem intimidating, but God is preparing you to hold the weight of the crown. So it's important that we grow in those moments. Wherever stage of life that you're in, whether you're in a cross moment or you're in a crown moment, it's important that we still maintain a level of character that reflects Christ, that we stay on course for the assignment and the mission, and we are able to lead others, add value to others, and to really have an impact on those that are around us. And so we go through these tests that will try our character, but ultimately it's to establish a great name. It's to help is so that God can establish a great name and a legacy that can live on. And so I hope you are all able to get something from it. I hope this was helpful, because one of the things that I try to do is help us to identify, to define, and redefine what it is that we're going through, so that we can discover the purpose of it, and use it to help shape our leadership ability. Leadership is all about navigating and directing and casting vision and building that momentum. And so the crown is helpful. The crown is important. It gives you the influence and the access and the favor and the wisdom and the stature and the honor that you deserve because of your endurance, because of your obedience, because of the fact that you said yes. So many people have said no and they refuse to do what God has called them to do, and it has affected the lives of others. But because you choose to say yes, because you choose to go into the deep end, because you choose to follow after Christ and to do the work that God has called you to do, you are in position to have an impact. And so let me be the first to honor you. Let me be the first to appreciate you. I thank you so much for tuning in. I hope that you are able to take this along with you. Let's build. Let's build our characters. Let's build our personalities. Let's build so that we're able to truly be effective in all that we need to do. And so thank you all for tuning in. I hope that you have a great week. I hope that that God will bless you and that he will make you a blessing, that the blessings of Abraham will be upon you, and that you will have a most productive week. I thank you so much for tuning in. I will see you next week. God bless.